To get started with this project is just like getting started with any other project, but because I didn't really know how to call this project, I just created a directory called SCO. Doesn't really matter, later I can rename it, but after all, this is the search cpan org rebuilding or cloning project, so I'm just calling it SCO. And then the first thing is to create here a Git repository and then add a README file. So I just create a README file, put some text in it, explaining probably what the project is, and I did some explanation here, and then I create the initial repository of Git repository. I can check what the status is and add all the files that are in here. So that's the README file, and then I git commit starting the project. So this is basically the start, and I can add some more to the README file and have some idea what's there. Now, because it's a Perl project and it will work, it will be developed similarly to a Perl module. I'm going to create the basic infrastructure of the Perl module. So there's a lib directory, and because I don't really know how to call this project, so I just called it SCO PM. That's the main module of the project. Now, what the main module needs is a declaration, a package declaration, which is the same as the name of the file. Then the use strict and use warnings, which are just the basic safety net for every Perl module. And we also declare a version number in this way. This is it's both important because it's very useful to have a version number in every module, especially when you're distributing something. It's easy. It's an easy way to see which version of the module you actually have, even though people can change the module and leave the version number the same. But it's a good approximation. And in addition, we are going to use this version number. We're going to extract this version number from this module in order to create the name of the distribution. So, you know, when you distribute a file on cpan, you have the name of the distribution dash the version number .tar.gz, and that the version number is taken from this file. Then also we add some skeleton documentation. This is a standard pod entry, the name, and in the pod entry there's the abstract, which looks like this. First you have the name of the module, and then a dash, and then some text. So it's like search cpan org clone, let's say. This is the name, and that's the whole documentation for now. We are going to fetch this information, the abstract, from this file. And then, as every normal module, we have to end it with some kind of a true statement, and that's what we did here. So this is the module, what we have, and of course, if you have this still, you don't really need that version number, and the module and the abstract might come from the distiller definition. But because we are going to use Makefile PL and xutils makemaker, this is the best way to do it. Then we also create the T directory, which is the standard place for tests, and we also create a test file. Again, we don't have much there yet, but we want to create the skeleton. The test files are also ending, so they are in the T directory and ending with .t, although they are just regular Perl scripts. Again, use strict, use warnings. It's a bit tiring, but it's useful to have. Then we load the test more module, and because this test script is planned to be actually accessing the real search cpan org website and checking various informations on the real site. So this is going to be like the acceptance test that I can write already, because I already have a working application there. So that's what. So we are going to have a web client here, and for that we are going to use test mechanize. Actually, it's called test ww mechanize. So I'm going to load that already. And we also need to have some kind of a plan, unless you want to use done testing, but I prefer to have a plan. So we're going to have a plan. And we don't really have now anything to test, so not with the search cpan. So I'm just as we're just creating the skeleton, so I just pass, and let's say that's one unit of success that will fill this one request of one planned test. So this is the skeleton of the test script, and actually I could run it with proof, and it will run and execute well. But then the most important part is probably the Makefile PL, and no, I haven't prepared it, but I have here somewhere I have a work, and then module name Makefile. This is a sample Makefile PL that I have started to prepare in order to be able to use it in various projects. And then I open it, and I don't have to type in everything. So what I have here is the name of the module, which is in our case is going to be SCO, and the author, that can be say Foobar, or I can change it to Gabor Sabo to be my name, and I have an email there, which is my cpan account. Now here is the version from thing that when we run Perl Makefile PL, it's going to take the version number from this place, which is the name of the module. And again, here I have to add the SCO PM file. And then there is something here that's missing that says the abstract from, which is from the same place. So I add this here. It was missing from the skeleton of the skeleton. And then I can have a list of prerequisites. Now, this is just an example here, the HTML template, and in our application we don't have any prerequisites so far, so I'm removing that. The license is going to be the Perl license. There is I want to add the GitHub repository to this, but I don't have a GitHub repository yet, so I can comment out this whole section. There are various things here. So the repository where the bug tracker is going to be, if there is a home page for the application, what other contributors are there, and so on. So, but because I don't have this, I'm going to just comment out this whole section for now. We can later add it back when we push out the GitHub, the Git repository to GitHub. Configure requires just declares what Makefile PL, what executes MakeMaker I need. But then there is this section, the test requires, this section there where we can declare what modules we require for the phase of testing. These modules are not needed to run the application, but they are needed to test the application. So we needed the test more for the testing, and instead of this, we need the test www mechanize. And I don't have a version number. I don't remember the version number of the module, so I just say 0 whatever version number. And I can have various standard modules here. They are usually ending with a 0 and the minimal version of 0. But I don't have anything here. And then the rest of the code is just putting together all these pieces and then calling write Makefile PL. So if I didn't make any typo, then it's probably going to work here. Now there are a couple of more files that usually people add to standard project. For example, the changes file is a very useful file. Usually it has a standard, actually. It has how it should be written, but it's usually it's starting version number. Here comes the date when the version is released, and then here's some text saying initial version or something like this, and then later on you're going to add to the version number various changes, and if you release new versions, then obviously you give a version number, new version numbers. So I think that's basically it, what I need. Let's try to run Perl Makefile PL. Okay, that worked. Obviously there's not much to do, and then I can run make test. and the tests are passing, so that's so far okay. The skeleton looks good. What now I need to do is add all these files to the Git repository. I could run git add and add all the files, but let's see what files are there. So if I run git status, I can see that in addition to the files that I wanted to add, changes and the Makefile PL, the T directory and the lib directory, there are a couple of more files. So I'm going to add the files that I really wanted manually, the changes, the Makefile PL, the T directory and the lib directory and the files in there. And checking again git status will reveal that indeed I added the files that I wanted to add and I left out the others. But in order to avoid adding these files, the additional files by mistake, I'm going to create a git ignore file. Git ignore file is just a listing of all the files. I'm copying this. Git ignore file is just a list of the files that I don't want to Git to, well, I want Git to ignore. So I just create the list, and it doesn't really have to be exact file names, but it's a good idea to have a slash at the beginning, so it will only match in the root directory and not inside somewhere. So now that I created the git ignore file, if I run git status again, it says that there are these 4 new files going to be added, and the git ignore file, of course, but it doesn't show anymore the other files that are still there, still in the directory, but Git is now ignoring it. So git add, we also add the git ignore file, because if other people clone the repository, I want to make sure that they won't add by accident these files either. So I just add the git ignore file, and then again I can run git status just to make sure that everything is okay. And adding a skeleton. So just to make sure, git status, everything is clean. So we just created the skeleton. It has a module, it has a test, it has a Makefile PL, it has a changes file, and we can get going in the next screencast.